Now, welcome to the next Nix Hour. We just had some technical problems and couldn't start the live stream. So this week we'll just have to live with a recording and uploading that later. So we don't have anyone here that wants to ask a question. So we will look at issues in the Nix Hour repository instead today. Yes, so one of the issues that was just opened actually today, and I think that's interesting, we could take a look at that, is this one. This is about how to package a single bash script using writeScript or multiple, probably using make derivation, into a single package. I would be interested to know blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so what to do with bash scripts that have commands that aren't typically available on NixOS or in Nix derivations in the Nix sandbox. Yeah, so let's look at that. We will go into, well, I guess we could look at examples in Nix packages, but let's just create a simple bash script here. So this is 28. I'm going to create a script.shell. So typically we'd use user bin env bash for this. And so let's say, right, we want some command. In here they used fdisk. I'm just going to do a simple curl and jq. And maybe an interesting one is curling the API to GitHub and getting the user. So there's this one, which has some JSON in it. So our idea is to curl this, and then JQ our user ID out of that. Let's do .id. And so right now we don't have this. This isn't executable yet. Let's make that executable. So this is a 28, move the script to here, chmod plus x script. All right, script, and that works. Gets my user ID. Not sure if that's actually my user ID, but it seems correct. All right, but now if we put this in a Nix derivation, and let's actually do that. So let's have a default.nix, a very simple import of Nix packages, and then let's do a packages.runCommand. Well, one problem we'll also run into is we don't really have internet access in here. We could get around this though. Let's do this for now. So I'm gonna just try to run the script in here, and this will, at first it will fail because of internet access not even being existent. Let's try to build that and just verify it. Well, first thing that fails is that we don't have user bin env in the sandbox. One way to fix this is by running, well, we would like to substitute patchShebangs, of the script. But we can't really do that if it lives in the Nix store. So this will be expanded into a Nix store path like this, where the file is hashed and put at the correct hash. But we can't really do it that way because that's an immutable file. So I'm going to just copy this locally first, copy into script.shell, and then we can patch the shebangs on the script, and then we can run it directly from here. So let's try this. And yeah, we got one step further, but now we run into the problem as mentioned in the issue. Now, one way to to get around this is to use wrapProgram or makeWrapper. So there is a packages.makeWrapper derivation, which we can add to native build inputs. Native build inputs because we use it during the build and not after the build has completed. And now in addition to patchShebangs, we can do makeWrapper, Now the easy invocation would be just makeWrapper like this, and then we do script.shell, and makeWrapper takes 2 arguments. The second one is the kind of resulting script. So here we can say wrapped script.shell. And now we can add some custom arguments to here that specify some extra things to do before the script is run, or I think just before. So it takes a couple various arguments. One of them, the one that we want here, is the either prefix. So prefix, we can do prefix variables. We say takes 3 arguments. So this is actually the path here. We can say packages.curl here and /bin. This would be so first iteration. So we say before you run the script, prefix the path variable with this extra entry while using colon as a separator. And let's see what this turns out as in the end. Actually, instead of running the script in here, I'm just going to move this into the result. So I'm going to make dir out bin, and I'm going to move the wrapped script into out bin script.shell. All right, and now let's do a Nix build and cat of the result bin script.shell. All right, and here we can see what we get out of it. So, well, first of here, we can see the interpreter, which was changed using our patchShebangs to a bash from the Nix store. So that works. We have some complicated path logic here, but we can see that, well, actually this, no, this, I think this is right. But yeah, so some complicated logic to prefix curl /bin here. And in the end, we just exec our script with the original arguments. All right, but so now this works with curl. This might not work with other packages because this will always use the default output of a package. Now OpenSSL, I'm actually not sure what the default output is, but let's check it. Let's build OpenSSL, and see what the result is. Oh, the result is actually the bin output, so it actually works. I wonder if there's an example that doesn't have the bin output by default, or that doesn't have binaries in the result by default. We could, let's try to look at this in Nix packages. So let's just try come up with a simple query for filter attributes. So we filter the attributes of Nix packages, the values, and then we want to do some logic value dot outputs, where the head of the outputs is not equals to bin, although that will match a lot of things. So let's also do value dot let's do value dot outputs contains bin, so lib.elem bin in the outputs, but the bin isn't the default output, so head of value dot outputs isn't bin. This will fail because filter address not in scope. Undefined variable head. All right. And now it fails because we can't actually evaluate this without it failing. So instead I'm gonna do built-ins.try eval all of this. It's getting a bit messy. Dot value. Success. Ooh. Let's do result is equal to this, and then go to the back here in built-ins.try eval. Actually, no, this should be built-ins.try eval, this entire thing. I'm going to copy this into a file afterwards so we can actually look at it a bit more easily. Let's success and result.value. All right, and outputs is missing. All right, then let's do value has outputs and this. All right, that seems to do something. Yes. Oh yeah, someone was in the other meeting. All right, okay, we have a lot of output here. And one of the first ones here is Boring SSL. Let me actually look at Boring SSL later, but let me copy this query here into the file we're having just to have that somewhere. All right, so just to have it here, packages with bin as non-default. All right, and just to make it readable, I'm gonna do some barely readable, I'd call this, and then like this. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, so Boring SSL as an example. So let's try building, actually let's look at Boring SSL, Boring SSL.outputs. All right, we have out and bin, but as we can see here, bin isn't the first output here, which means it's not the default. So this means if we build Boring SSL, we get this path or in result, but result, ls result, it only contains lib. It doesn't contain a bin folder. And so this would actually not work in this case, our example here, because Boring SSL, if we do this, it's going to refer to the lib folder or the lib output here, not the bin one. So we could add this manually here, but bin doesn't always exist for all of these derivations. We'd have to check all of these. And so the way to get around this is to use lib.getBin. And so lib.getBin will always select the right output. And so if we try this out here, actually we can try it out here. We can do it in the REPL. Lib.getBin of Boring SSL. This gets us, well, it doesn't show the output here, but I guess if we build it, well, it builds all of the outputs, but we can see that bin is the first one here, though that might just be alphabetical. It's actually really hard to figure out what it would actually build here. In any case, this points to bin, and it also works for OpenSSL. Points to the bin output, but OpenSSL outputs has bin as the first output, so same thing there. So yeah, we can get the curl here, and then we could also do this. So if you want multiple entries, you could do this, but this is a bit annoying. So in this case, we need both curl and JQ. A better way to do this, which takes care of all of this boilerplate, is to use lib.makeBinPath. Lib.makeBinPath does exactly this. So we can just pass it packages.curl, packages.jq, and it will turn this into a path with all the entries concatenated. We have a bit of noise in here. Anyways. Okay, so I'm gonna mute someone here. But yeah, packages curl and so on. So prefix path. All right, so this is good. Let's try building this again. Oh, and it fails because our hacky experiment up here doesn't have all variables in scope. Let me inherit lib to make that succeed. All right, now we can see the conserve bits. Oh, I see. Yeah, if someone has a question, feel free to shout. So yeah, in this case, with curl and JQ here, which will make both of these available. And actually, I think it will actually fail if we try this. So let's go out of here. Let's Nix build this. So we can see in the result here, we just have the script. And this is actually the wrap script now, which just tries to exec script.shell, but script.shell is actually this script itself. So I believe we will get an infinite loop here if we try this. Or this. Oh, I stopped sharing my screen, unfortunately. All right. Oh yeah. Okay, so we actually need to install both and kind of make this a bit better. So let's introduce a new function here, and that is, instead of makeWrapper, we use wrapProgram, I believe. Is it wrapProgram? Let me just double check. wrapProgram. Yep, that looks right. All right, so wrapProgram, instead of taking 2 arguments, it just takes 1 argument now. And so what it does is it will move this script to a file name called like .wrapped, I believe, like .wrapped, and then the original name. And then put at this location the actual wrapper. And this is kind of a neat way to kind of do this thing because it happens so often. Instead of wrap script down here, we just have script.shell. And we also need to move the original one. This is a bit annoying if we do it like this. So I'm gonna instead switch this around. Install it first. So we patchShebangs, we create the out, we move the script there, and now we wrap it. So now we don't need to move 2 files anymore because it creates it in the right location already. All right, now let's try this out. Build it, it failed because, oh, it's not an executable. That's somewhat surprising because it is an executable here. patchShebangs, I mean, we could just chmod here. I don't think that should be necessary, but didn't quite get it, but are you moving it? What was it? Oh, yes, that's a good point. Yes, it should be out bin script.shell. All right, and then it shouldn't be a, would it be a problem anymore? Let's try it out. So this, I'm gonna Nix build, and then let me do show the tree. I'm not sure if I tree here. Yes. Okay, it built, and oh well, tree apparently doesn't show .directories, but it should be here. Use my twrapper here. Yeah. Okay, it's the other way around. It's dot the file name and then dash wrapped. And now we have, I believe, a fairly self-contained bash script in the result here. So if you just look at the script, it's not, but it contains all of these next door paths here. All of these dependencies are also registered as a dependency. So if we look at nixstore-qr of the result, we can see here, okay, well, let's look at just direct ones, references. Yes. So references, these are the direct dependencies of the result. So in here we have bash, curl, JQ, and test. I'm not sure what that is actually about. What is test? Oh, that's the, okay, that's the output itself. Okay, not sure why that needs to be here. All right, and so I guess we don't need this chmod. And this works. Yes. make dear. Did we miss anything here? Move script up shall patchShebangs. Now patch. Yep. Yes, that's true. This is where the reference must come from. And I guess we can also check this using Nix depends. So we can say real path result. I'm not actually sure if that is necessary anymore. And then, well, the path itself, that's the same thing actually. So depends, then I believe full or all, or what is the flag? It is precise. Precise. All right, and yeah, that shows indeed the self-reference in the script.shell in the exec line here. Nice. Oh, and something I wanted to show here. So there is a trade-off with two flags here. So we use the prefix flag here, which prefixes the path, and because the path lookup goes from left to right, it will first use these binaries, and well, if it can't find anything, it will fall back to the system path. So if I didn't have JQ in here, and we'd try this, so Nix build, and then I can try running this myself. So it still works. And so this is sometimes a problem because you can't really verify that easily whether or how pure it is. And so an alternative here is to use --set. Well, I don't think that needs a colon here now, but --set doesn't just prepend it, it actually replaces it entirely and kind of overrides it. And so if we try this, try to run it, we get JQ command not found. Actually, I kind of want to do set -EO EUO pipe fail for some better errors here. Oh, and it's still the same thing. Okay. But yeah, JQ isn't found here. And so this is kind of a way to ensure more purity. Now, sometimes you also have a use case. I'll add this back here. Sometimes you also have the use case of only wanting to provide these binaries as a fallback. And well, in that case, you'd use suffix. Don't have a good example of when you'd need this, but I needed this in the past. Yeah, and so this would prefer your users already installed packages over the ones here. Now, for the best purity, I'd use set. If you still need some extra things from the path that you might not be able to package and the user needs, then you might use prefix. I'm just going to go for set here, and just to verify it works. Yep. All right. Now, something interesting in that region, which I haven't tried out yet, but we can look at examples of that in Nix packages, is a really interesting project. It's called resholve. Let me add GitHub to that. Oh, here it is. Resholve, a shell resolver. So this also kind of takes care of this. I'm not sure how easy it is to get into that. Let's maybe read the resholve replaces references to bash shell scripts, external dependencies, comments or scripts with absolute paths. All right, and so that instead of doing the kind of prefix wrapping as we did here, so we just wrapped with a path, and then we still have the original script as it is in the results. So we still have .script shell wrapped. So nothing really changed here. Resholve has the idea of replacing these references in here with Nix store paths, which has some benefits, I presume. I guess we don't need the wrapper is one benefit. But let's try to look at an example in Nix packages. I believe it's already used there. Let's go Nix packages, resholve, and yes, a bunch of them. And I guess, yeah, it's used for random derivations already. Let's look at an example. There is resholve.makeDerivation. Install solutions. This appears to be kind of a specification for resholve. Inputs, interpreter, scripts, execure cannot. I'm not sure what this is about, but the above three are fairly self-explanatory. Let's try using that in our example here. So to move this, I'm gonna do like traditional is this. All right, and then we're gonna try something new with resholve. So packages.resholve.makeDerivation. Is it just make derivation like that? Yes. So we're gonna, well, above we used runCommand, which kind of has the name in here and is a bit simpler to set up. If we use make derivation, it's going to be, we need phases and so on. Actually, yeah, it has like don't build in here. Let's just copy at least the don't build. So name, let's just give this a simple name, resolved test. We're gonna do source. So in here, the source, what is it? It's a, well, it's a directory. I feel like that's not gonna work super well. So instead, I'm just gonna do unpack phase. So the unpack phase by default unpacks the source. If we just have a single file, it doesn't really make sense. I think, well, let me actually do unpack phase cp of the script to script.shell. All right, so we don't build, and let's just see what happens if we run it like this. Let's do Nix build. Okay, we need a version. Version equals. I don't think it really makes sense to have a version here, but let's add -unstable. Or actually, no, it should just be unstable. P-name as well. Okay. P-name instead of name. Source, it needs a source. That's a bit unfortunate. The wrapper doesn't seem super solid. So I guess local directory will be our source. It's going to include a bit too much. We could use some like source filtering here to make sure only the actual script is there, but let's keep it simple for now. And then we need the solutions argument here. So I'm just going to copy the overall structure from here. I hope this is also documented decently well. We should probably check this. Solutions default, I'm gonna, I guess, remove these two sections. Inputs, let's just try to go for it and do packages.curl and packages.jq. Interpreter, we could use bash like this. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Packages.bash. Scripts, I don't think we have any scripts. Let's keep this around though. And Nix build. Okay, we need scripts as an argument. Fair enough. And Nix build. We don't have an install. So let's do a manual install. The other one here also does it like that. I guess we could use the install command here. I think that creates directories as needed, but not super familiar with the command line options of this command. And the permissions here don't make a lot of sense because the next door resets permissions, except the executable bit. but let's try this. So we want to install the script.shell into out script.shell. Let's try building this. It succeeded. All right, let's see what it did. So what does the result contain? Only a script, and it didn't substitute anything. All right, might need more docs, or it is executable. Oh, actually makes a lot of sense. I didn't even look at the contents of it here. All right, script.shell. All right. It built. Let's look at the result. And that worked. Very nice. So we can see curl being replaced here and JQ. It's also resolve directives, keep curl, keep JQ. That might, I'm not sure what that is. Might be related to garbage collection, or if you run it, not sure. But that's nice. All right, so I guess that is a somewhat decent way to package scripts. And here we could also easily do it with multiple. Yeah, I guess we could do like star.shell, install that into, I wonder actually if this works. Maybe not. Yeah, let's not try to break it right now. Yeah, we do have to like, yeah, we do have to like even make tier here. But yeah, I mean, this will definitely work for multiple scripts, and it will be exactly the same thing. Might have different error messages if something is missing, but yes. Now I do want to take a look at, or find the documentation. It would be good if I can link to that. Quick start, demos, quick start, man resholve, oh, man page. That would be great. Well, that won't work because I don't have it installed. I guess we can use the Nix shell, Nix shell-p resholve. And that works, although that is the command line itself does have some documentation here on some of the things we saw. Fake keep, nested resolution, lower. Okay, I feel like this should be more Nix packages specific because we have resholve.makeDerivation. So let's look at this. Let's go rg resholve equals. Well, we should search the Nix packages manual first. So let's go into the unstable manual. I'm not sure if it's in the stable yet. Actually, let's check stable first and only go to unstable if it's not there. Resholve not documented, can't find a reference. And here also not found. Maybe on the wiki. The wiki is not super well curated. Ideally, we should move good articles into the manual, curate them there. But yeah, so it's not documented. So let me look at the source and see. This kind of looks like documentation. Yes, in here. And let me look at that on GitHub for some better rendering. So I'm going to use T here to go to a file. This one. All right. Okay, and actually we do have easier ones, so we don't need to use make derivation. That's great to know. So writeScriptBin. The difference between these two is that bin creates a bin folder and puts the script in there, whereas writeScript puts the script at the output itself, so it won't even be a nested directory. Phrase solution, not sure what that is, but okay, we have a basic example, default scripts, interpreter keep. Keep might be important. Okay, options. Keep things we can't out of X ignore. Okay. Okay, that's useful. So yeah, let's try using this resholve.writeScriptBin instead. This should give us the same result, but a lot simpler. So let me just move this up here and do resolve make derivation. Is this. And then new approach, packages.resolve.writeScriptBin, I believe. So we can use the same interface as writeScriptBin as the packages.writeScriptBin, which would be, actually what would it be? It would be, oh, it takes this, the script as either a text or a path, I believe. But yeah, script.shell, actually, GitHub ID script, that's what it actually does. And here we can put the text itself. So we could actually inline the entire script. Let's just verify this works. I believe there's an alternative as well, though. What is it, this? No, it's, oh yeah. Okay, like this. And well, I guess we have to actually pass some arguments somewhere. How is that done? WriteScriptBin. Okay, actually, yeah, this is the same as the packages.writeScriptBin. Also takes an attribute set in the second position. So now we can put the solutions here. All right, and bin script.shell. Ah. Oh yeah, I guess that would be implicit here. Oh, actually, yeah, interpreter. Oh. Okay. So we actually inline the scripts here. Well, not scripts, but interpreter and inputs. So that simplifies this a whole bunch. And do they have a better... I guess... So there is... Oh, let's go into that later. Let's just try this out for now. Next build of this. And that works. We also have some nice output, I see. All right, let's just verify cat result bin script. Oh, wait, call it the different name now. Yep, gets us the same result. But yeah, we don't necessarily want to inline the script here because personally, I don't really like editing shell scripts in a multi-line Nix string. Although sometimes it is useful. I mean, the alternative, if you have it inlined here, would be to just do this directly here, to use lib.getBin packages.curl bin curl. That would be one option. And then also for JQ, sometimes I like to, if the option exists, is to do the path wrapping yourself in front of the script. And you can do this because you can just inline Nix variables here. So we could do path is equal to lib.makeBinPath, and then packages.curl and packages.jq. And this way we kind of get the same result as the original wrapping of the script, but kind of inline. But yeah, this makes it kind of hard to edit the bash script, and we don't have the right syntax highlighting and so on. So generally, I would prefer it to be outside. Let's do I guess this works. But I believe we should also be able to just do this. So pass the path to the script instead. And let's verify this. It doesn't work. Why does it not work? Unexpected absolute command path. So yeah, that's. I thought this worked with at least packages.writeScriptBin. Maybe it doesn't work here. Well, one alternative would be to do a read file here. I don't really like doing this a lot because there is no real reason you should have to like import the string of that into the Nix language at Nix evaluation time. I guess in this case it might be the only option. All right, and yeah, this gets us the same result. It didn't even have to rebuild. All right, now writeScriptBin. I do want to check the implementation briefly. Resholve equals, and then we have this here. Actually, default.nix. Resholve is right here. Oh, and here we have all of the utils. Oh, that's actually pass through for resholve. Okay, that makes sense. So that's from resholve utils. So that would be utils. Oh, actually, that's going to be in here, writeScriptBin. And so it gets the text here. What does it do with the text? Passes it to writeText file. And nothing else. So let's look at writeText file. I believe this is in the trivial builders in here. writeText file. Okay, and this actually just takes the text here. And yeah, so this doesn't work if you pass a file path. I do believe writeScriptBin itself. Actually, no, that also doesn't work. Where? Oh, I confused it with the writers. So the writers is kind of a related thing. So this is this kind of suite of packages. I'm jumping around here. A lot here, I'm realizing. But so these do work with paths as well. These are available as packages.writers. And here you have a whole bunch of writers that allow you to easily package scripts for various languages. And this can also be, actually, maybe we should have looked at this one as well. We have like a couple more minutes left, but maybe not enough time for these ones. Yeah, something else that we could look at is, so let's park this here. Let's do a resholve scriptBin. And now let me actually copy this one up here. A bit more verbose, but all right, remove the semicolon. Okay. So something I want to show is that sometimes you want to just inline something from Nix into the script, but this is really hard if you just have it here. So let's say we want to, let's say we want to customize my username. It shouldn't just be me. It should be someone else, and this should come from Nix. We should be able to build something for our own user. And so we can't just do it here, user, because we don't have Nix available. And we don't have the script inlined into the Nix source code, so we also can't do it that way. And so one way to do it is to use these, actually I believe it's just a single one, to wrap it with @ symbols. This isn't in any way significant. There's no magic going on just yet, but there is an easy way to substitute these strings in text using some helpers in Nix packages. So the way we can invoke these, well, actually let's make this a function here. User, by default, it's going to be me. And now we want to pass this to, I guess, actually let's do it post install maybe, or let's do post patch. So in post patch, the patch phase, actually let's do post unpack. Doesn't really matter where we do it, but we want to modify our script. And now I believe it's substitute. Might have to check the documentation or examples for this. Substitute, there's all substitute in place. It's not that, it's grab for this. Oh, it's here, this function here. Hope this is documented anywhere. If not, source code is working pretty well. So substitute, that is not where the documentation is for sure. Substitute stream, substitute substituvar. Yeah. Okay, let me just grab it from here, and this should work. Substitute, and then substituvar bind. So we want to place the user variable. So that's @user in our file with our user here. Now to make this kind of username safe, escaping safe, I'm going to use escape shell arg. And yeah, let's try this out. I'm gonna Nix build this. Doesn't work. Oh, the file doesn't exist. We didn't pass a file. Fair enough. Script.shell. Nix build. File script.shell doesn't exist. Did I? Oh, post unpack. Well, it's only in post unpack that we run this. Let me just briefly do an ls. Oh, actually post unpack, I think that runs in a different, yeah, that doesn't run in the source root. So let me do post patch instead. That should work better. And save, I believe. Invalid command line argument user. Okay, let me grab first subst var by. Oh, that seems fairly escape shell arg subst var by. Let's look at this as an example. Oh, takes 2 arguments. All right. Let's do script substituted.shell for now. I'm not sure if you can actually put it at the same place. Oh, actually, substituteInPlace exists, I believe. But yeah, it builds. Let's look at the result. Oh, yeah, we need to modify this a tiny bit. So let me try substituteInPlace. Yep, that works. So let's use that instead. Down here in place. So we don't need this. Next, build this. Cat the script. And we can see our user is inlined here. So this will get our own ID. Now we can build it with someone else. So let me do user, or arg string actually, user yorixr. I believe that's Yuri here. Is that right, the spelling? Oh, without C. All right, and that works. All right. Yeah, apparently. So yeah, that's working pretty well. We are out of time, but I think we covered a bunch of things today. All right, but yeah, thanks